money tonight.
This is for Ray. This is, you mentioned that it was a low budget and it was a tight schedule. What type of films would you prefer? Like the way you've been in bigger films, like say Indiana Jones or The Departed.
Yeah.
Would you prefer say films like that?
Well, it's a shame that most of the really good ones you want to do, the films you want to make at the low budget and they don't pay very well, and so you don't just go and do Indiana Jones to get paid, but it's part and parcel of it. Big studio films do pay you, and they allow you to be able to go and do films like this that you want to go and do, really, And you're lucky enough to go and do it. You can't have a ball. You get wished off all over the world. And you meet people from all over the world. It's like an education for you, Like the kid who's born with an ankle, and brought up in Glasgow in a comprehensive school like most kids go to, And my education was at zilch, And so I've been lucky enough to be in a game where I've met people from all over the world, And that's been my education, really,
You're in a big boxing city here as well. You were a boxer welterweight?
Oh yeah, welterweight, yeah. Made 88 fights, I won one.
Yeah, and about the guy you beat. See that way? He beat me once. Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? Yes. Oh, great. Get on up the stairs there.
Come on, yeah.
I was going to say it's years since we said that as well. Keep waving. There we go.
Hi, I'm just wondering about the end of the film and at what point in the creative process you came to that ending, because I think we all really needed it. But to make a choice to make it quite hopeful and positive like that.
I just felt like, you need. I thought the Jim's character, James was fundamentally a decent person, just a bit of an idiot and just a bit of, just useless and desperate, and he fucked up all these different times. But he deserved the break. He was we had that moment with the woman in the bar where you just go, he's fundamentally a decent person. He's not a horrible person. He's just weak and always does the wrong thing. And somebody's given the chance to do the right thing, but it means potentially sacrificing himself and his family. So in the same way that Ray's character has heroic moments, even though they're small ones, even if it's just trying to clasp to a memory which you can't remember, that's heroic. In the same way with Jim has the opportunity to try and save someone he's only just met, but somehow he's bonded with. And so that was kind of fundamental to me. I didn't want to make a depressing film, and that's what I found difficult when we were trying to raise the money. Everyone was so depressing. I was like, well, hopefully it's not. I mean, it should be sad. There's maybe heartbreaking if we get it right, but that's a good thing. I think what heartbreaking music, heartbreaking films, and what all of this, whenever someone asks you what's your favourite film, generally speaking, that would be close to the top, right? So that was important to me, and I think, Jim's been through a lot. We were laughing every single day. Ray was either punching him in the face or spitting at him or biting his fingers or urinating in his mouth or whatever. I just felt like at the very least he deserves it to get away at the end.
And was that from the start you thought there is going to be hope at the end of this? There will be a light at the end of the tunnel. Was it right at the start of the process of making the movie?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we hadn't quite worked out what the plot was going to be, but I think, and the same with Luke's character, the real son. It made sense that we wanted something frustrating there, but I didn't want to be too clear about exactly what his motivation was. Exactly what he was intending to do with Ray. Was he just going to try and find him and do something terrible to him, or was he going to try and get to grips with what had happened? We were trying not to be too explicit about it. I mean, you're assuming something pretty sinister. But I just felt that, Jim's, in real life, but in this film, I think he's really likeable. He's just a bit of a moron. He just always does the wrong thing, and it's just nice to have him finally get a second chance. He'll probably screw it up in but
Where did they go?
Somewhere off the Isle of Man.
I've been to the Isle of Man. I could have spent a fortune trying to get off it. Yeah. It's a very strange place.
I can't possibly comment.
No, you can't possibly comment. But somewhere where you go into a pub at lunchtime on a Sunday and say, could we get lunch? And they say, no, chef gets lunchtimes off. You go, this is a weird place. Any more questions?
I just
Derek Jacobi again.
A comment of experience I had myself, when I was much younger, it would have been one.
Hang on, I'm going to share this with the audience. Excuse me.
Would have been fairly a wee bit different in terms of protesting about this, that, and the other thing, you know. And I did have a habit at one time of sort of blocking streets and sitting in the middle of the street, etc., 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 for good reasons, mind you. But I remember when my mother went into a residential home, and she was just the most wonderful, wonderful woman, as well mothers are. But I remember I got a telephone call from the matron of this residential home and saying, "You better come over here quickly." My mother had said, "I want to go home." And they had said, "No, just settle down there." But what she went outside and she sat down in the middle of the street, to the extent that she was actually interfering with traffic, you know. So I had to go over. And it's interesting because you said earlier on that people go in and out of this illness, you know. And I know absolutely nothing about it except in terms of my own experience, and that's a very informal sort of experiential thing. But I remember when I went over, she was sitting in the middle of the road and I sat down beside her, and she was very content then. And she says, "I think we'll go in now, son," you know, and she went back.
Yeah. No, it was the same, yeah, absolutely the same for my family, that we would, I'd just see my dad would just do things where he was in this hospital, it was a security unit, and he would escape. He'd bust out one of the windows and we'd find him. He'd managed to walk home, so he hadn't been able to feed himself for about a year, and somehow he escaped from this place, walked all the way home, this is like miles and miles, like tens of miles, and found, and just turned up on the doorstep with the police looking for him, my mum looking for him, me looking for him, brother looking for him, and he just turned up and just going to go, "What time's dinner?" And I just thought, oh, good on you. Do you know what I mean? As everyone else was pulling out their hair, when we were pulling out our hair, we'd just be like, well, there's still spark there. You know, he'd try and drive when he wasn't allowed to drive anymore. He'd pull the handbrake in the middle of the dual carriageway. I mean, most of the things that are in the film are there. You know, they're either exactly what happened or they're kind of extrapolated from what happened. And that was, you know, I just felt the same way Ray was saying about language. He learnt. My mum was Argentinian. He learnt Spanish later on in his life, but somehow when he lost the ability to speak English, he could still speak Spanish. And he used to speak to this Argentinian woman who used to clean the hospital. So those kind of things, it's just, like we were saying before, there's no rhyme or reason to it, but there's something really beautiful and heroic about that. And I thought that's what Ray does so beautifully. I think like when he just has a little look about him when he's driving off, it's like, you know, screw you, you know, I'm off. You know, and that kind of thing, just those little moments of courage.
Yeah, a friend of mine's mother's in the home at the moment. She's got dementia, and he got a phone call from the staff saying, "Look, really sorry, but your mum's had a bit of a fall." And so what happened? He said, "Well, we heard the clatter in the room, and we came in, and she was sitting in the drawers of the chest of drawers, and she pulled one of them out to go to the toilet, the top one, and she'd fallen right the way through." And he couldn't stop laughing. They said, "Thank God you're laughing. It's taken us an hour to ring you." They couldn't stop laughing. Bless her. They helped her up, pulled her knickers up, and put her back in bed. But anyway, so even the staff know the humour in the situations. Any more questions? Yes, front row.
As somebody just going through it myself, my father's in a nursing home suffering from
You want the microphone?
Sorry, that's going through it. I just want to know, as this is to Matt, as a director, how did you find directing a character that you knew really well, like your father, and then directing that same character to somebody that you didn't know at all?
Yeah. It was really hard work. Well, initially, because it'd been such a slog to try and get to the point where we were actually filming, it's just the nuts and bolts take over. So you're just like, I mean, bless Ray, he's stuck with it. He's got the patience of a saint, because on the first day, if it was in focus, we were pretty much moving on. And Ray would be like, "Oh, I've just had an idea. It's too late, right, we'll move on." He's like, it's the worst thing you can ever do to any actor. I mean, every time he'd go, "No, hang on, I've worked out what I should have done. Can we do it?" And I was like, "You can't do it again." That was horrible. And then every day was a bit like that, to be honest. So a lot of it was just dealing with that. But I definitely had moments, especially in that hotel room towards the end, where I was in tears, where it was just like, this is exactly, this echoes a moment. Or he'd just, of course, my dad would say, of course, you know, about certain things, like, you know, you go, "Oh, you're very good looking," or you look well today, and you go, "Yeah, of course." You know, for a long time after he'd supposedly, you know, been able to speak, and so that was, yeah. On the one hand, it was amazing, very emotional, also very, very tough. I think you just deal with the way that I work with actors is I don't have any acting experience myself, other than like the school play. I've read lots of books about acting because it was the bit going into directing which I knew I wanted to do that I was most daunted by. And then you meet Ray, who's obviously got this wealth of experience and is an amazing actor, and I don't feel like I'm really in any position to kind of tell him what I think or anything else, but you just tell I just do it in a commonsensical way. It's just like, well, it occurred to me about this, or how about trying this? And the best piece of advice I've ever had about acting, you read all kinds of books about you have to treat actors this way, you can't say this, or you should say this, was from Spike Lee, where he just said, actors are people, each one of them needs something different. Some of them need a lot of encouragement, a lot of help. Some people just get on with it. Some of them are nightmare like Ray, but you just put up with it because he's brilliant. You know, but it was really like it just kind of deal with it. But I think the echoes of what Ray did in his performance, does in the performance, most of which, to be honest, we didn't talk about. But he'd somehow picked up on all the clips that he'd seen of my dad, and so just uncanny. Like it's my dad. It's very weird. And my mum finds it very difficult to watch the film. She's like, that's my dad, Richard. You know, when he's doing it. I don't know how the fuck he did it. He can tell you himself.
If I knew that. I have no idea. I don't know. All you can do is, I guess, it's like anything you do. If doing nil by mouth and things like that, people say, "Oh, you're best, and that's you," and but you go, "Yeah, I don't go and beat the wife up and things like that." It's observation, isn't it? I've certain things I've seen all my life, and you sit back and you take that in, but this is something I didn't know anything about. That's where I had to rely on you and the films and all that kind of stuff to do. But I've listened to people on the telly explain how they can do what they do. I'm afraid I can't. I don't know. I wouldn't know where to start.
But you also obviously have such a tremendous respect for not only the subject, but what Matt was trying to do with the subject.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't believe they're making a film for the right reason, that's when you're dealing with that kind of subject, you shouldn't be doing the film. And I'm not talking about studio movies where you go and have fun and all that, that you still take seriously, don't get me wrong, but if you are making films like this, and you're making films like Warzone and Nil by Mouth and even Sexy Beast to a certain degree, because it's quite an emotional journey, it's a love story, you're dealing with love. And then the people that are making it, you've got to know that they're there making it for the right reasons, and that makes it a lot easier for an actor to do that, I think.
Any more questions, or are we getting to the...
Or should we go to the pub?
Yeah, I'm worried that it is getting to closing time. Ladies and gentlemen...
We can waffle on all night, but do you really want it?
Please put your hands together and thank our special guests, Mat Whitecross and Ray Winstone.
To Pamela, to Matt and to Ray. I just have one small quick presentation to make before I let you all go. You can join us please in Martha's Vineyard for something to eat and a drink. But I just wanted to say that last year the festival introduced a new award just to celebrate the fact that Londonderry had been awarded the inaugural UK City of Culture. And we introduced a new award that was specially made by City of Derry Crystal. We presented it last year to Brendan Gleeson, an actor who I greatly admire, and I'm very pleased this year to be able to say again this year they present the award to someone else who I respect very much, Mr. Ray Winstone.
Oh, lovely. Me and Brendan Gleeson.